Okay, how do we start this? Childhood trauma. That's such a such a serious way to say it. Now, when I say childhood trauma, I'm not talking about anything serious. When it comes to this trend, childhood trauma is more things that scared you as a kid, whether that's horror games, horror movies, or even things that aren't supposed to be scary. Now, I've written a list of all the things that scared me as a child, and some of them are meant to scare you and others are kind of embarrassing. I'm gonna have this split into 4 sections. We're gonna start off with video games, movies and TV, things that I found on the internet, and then we're gonna do some honorable mentions that kind of fit in all those categories, but I didn't want to put them in any of the categories. Now, to start off with video games, there was a game that came out a long time ago. I can't remember the exact date. I don't write scripts. I've never liked writing scripts. Most of these videos are improvised. Now, this game was SpongeBob SquarePants and Nicktoons Globs of Doom. It was this big amalgam of all these Nickelodeon characters fighting off this alien species that came down and started invading Earth, and they would possess the cartoon characters that we've grown to love. You can play as SpongeBob, Invader Zim, Jimmy Neutron, and you use aspects from their respective franchises to fight off these essentially zombies. The thing that scared me from this was the first cutscene, actually, but I had gotten it from a Kmart and I came home and I put it in my Nintendo Wii, and I don't remember starting it, but I vividly remember seeing Squidward possessed at the beginning of the game, and it terrified me. SpongeBob, SpongeBob. I took off and I was crying, and I don't think I played that game for a few years. But this next one is from Mortal Kombat 9. Now, I actually never played this game, but I just remember seeing it in my relative's apartment. She was playing with someone and she was playing as Melina. I didn't know that when you win as Melina in Mortal Kombat 9, she'll disappear from the screen and jump right back.
Melina wins.
It terrified me. This thing kept me up at night. Just the thought of her popping up, I was ready for her to jump through the screen. And I remember vividly jumping behind the couch to hide from her because I was that terrified. It's a really funny memory, and it's probably what I get for watching a game like that young, because that was not a game I should have been watching anyone play. Now, this last one, I can kind of give less of a dive because you all pretty much know it. It's the Black Ops 3 zombie menu. I had never played zombies. I had never played Call of Duty at the time, and my uncle was the one who, he loved the game at the time. And I used to watch him play, regular Call of Duty, but when I would see the menu, it terrified me for some reason, like the burning earth spinning and the music, and I don't know why, I just remember it scaring me. I don't remember running off or anything like the other two, but I do remember getting pretty scared just from the music and the atmosphere of it. Now, our next segment is movies and TVs. There's a lot more here because I remember more from obviously watching a movie rather than playing a game, which honestly I didn't play most of the games. The first one is the transformation scene in The Incredible Hulk. I love this movie. Now I've seen it a bunch of times. It's one of my favorite Marvel movies. I don't know. You guys say whatever you want about it. It's one of my favorites. Okay. But the scene I'm talking about is when they take Bruce Banner into this facility and they essentially force him to transform. But I just remember watching it I'm not sure if it was a theater or if it was in my home, but I just know it was very loud. And I just remember him yelling while he's being constrained. And I just remember covering my ears and curling up in a little ball because I don't know why I was so scared of it. He's one of the scarier Marvel heroes, but kid me was a bit of a chicken. Now, this next one was actually, I think, supposed to be scary. I used to love watching Cartoon Network, and obviously, as you all know, once I think it hit 10 o'clock, it would switch into Adult Swim, which was kids, you guys can't be watching this one. My family, they used to, keep us up a little later than our curfew, just let's watch some Family Guy with the whole family, which was probably not the best thing. We were watching it, and, they have their bumpers, and, where you have to look for the Adult Swim logo, or it's the the black text on screen. There was one point, I think it was during Halloween, where it cut to commercial and there was just this all white woman with just this ugly smile, and she's just laughing in the screen, and there's like blood coming out of her mouth. And that was terrifying. That one actually kept me up. I don't think I went to school the next day because that kept me up all night, which in my mind, I'm like, why would they put that on television? But at the same time, we're talking about Adult Swim. I mean, they have, I think This House Has People in It, unedited footage of a bear, all of those, I guess, beginner analog horror. Back when it was, on TV, it wasn't really a thing at the time. At least I don't think it was. I should probably do a lot more research the next time I do a video like this. Now, this next one, though, was on Cartoon Network. I remember there was one show called Mad TV. A lot of the stuff was based on like older animation. There was a lot of mixed animation. Now, Adult Swim, you had your excuse. It's Adult Swim, but on Cartoon Network, this was probably one of the edgier shows. There was one segment that was called Zambi. No, it's Zombie. It's Bambi, she's sad. I think she was sitting with Thumper, and she's sad about, her mother passed away. And then the mom comes out of the earth and her face is all melted and she's like groaning.
It's good to share your feelings. Mommy?
It scared me to the point where I stopped watching Cartoon Network altogether. When I would turn on my TV, it would immediately show the Cartoon Network channel. And after that, every time I would turn on my TV, I would immediately spam the change channel button because I was scared to see that again. It's not even that bad. But it terrified me, man. It terrified me. I don't know if it kept me up that night, but I just know that I stopped watching Cartoon Network altogether solely because of that Mad TV segment. Now, this next one is a little more embarrassing to me. Spider-Man 3 was one of the movies that I think we had on DVD. There was the scene where Peter is in the church and he's ripping off the symbiote, and Eddie Brock is obviously down there. He's preying on Peter's downfall, literally, and he gets covered in the symbiote and starts turning into Venom. Well, I just remember watching in horror at seeing the symbiote crawl inside of his mouth and he's gagging, and I was already decently scared just by that aspect alone. But it wasn't until he was completely covered by the symbiote and jumped, the camera zoomed in as he roared in the screen, and I do remember turning off the TV. I guess it's a pattern of faces in the screen, jumping out into the screen, that just mess with me. Whether it's loud noises or not, it scared me to a point where I was not ready to continue watching the movie or anything. Now, this next one is a little more embarrassing, but it spawned a deep-rooted fear of bugs in me that has lasted until now. Even looking up the video for this, I got chills and I had to quickly download it because I was not ready to rewatch this. Now, there's an episode of SpongeBob where Sandy goes out of town and she tells SpongeBob and Patrick to come and watch her worm. She had a little worm. His name was Wormy. I think you guys probably know where this is going at this point. They're watching him and he ends up sprouting into a butterfly. They lose him and they're afraid of this butterfly. And there's a scene. Obviously, SpongeBob has their realistic close-ups and most of them are funny. But this one still scares me, honestly. It makes me super uncomfortable. The butterfly flies onto SpongeBob's fishbowl and it cuts from the cartoon to this hyper close-up of a fly, or I don't know what of a bug essentially, and this loud buzzing sound. That alone was, I still think it's pretty scary for a kids show, especially back in the day, and it definitely spawned a deep-rooted fear of bugs in me, because even to this day I hate bugs, and I can definitely say that this is the reason why. Now on to the internet segment. Now, most of these were actually made to scare you, especially this first one. I don't really think it needs an introduction. The Scary Maze game. I was a victim of the Scary Maze game, I think back in 3rd grade, I want to say. We were in the computer lab, and obviously you guys all know Cool Math Games. It's infamous for being the sole reason why anybody wanted to go to the computer lab in elementary school. But I remember that there was the second website. It was coolmathgames.net. Now, .net was the edgy one. You had Happy Wheels, you had a few other games that weren't on Cool Math Games, so it was oh, we're the cool kids who use .net. So on this, was the Scary Maze game. I don't know why they decided to put it on there, but that's how my buddy found it and decided, hey, let's trick Leo. This would be a good idea. So obviously I fell victim of the, make sure you get the mouse and you have to look closely so you can beat the last level. And sure enough, that exorcist face jumps right out with that iconic scream. I'm not gonna show it, but I just remember vividly jumping with my the little rinky-dink headphones. I just remember throwing them and like scooting back in my chair, and I think I got in trouble with the teacher if I'm not mistaken. And then right after that I showed it to another one of my friends to continue this cycle. This was not my first screamer, and I'll get on that in the honorable mentions because I don't want to fill the internet with screamers, because I could talk for hours if we're talking about screamers. Now this next one is a little bit embarrassing. Obviously Minecraft is a good game, it doesn't need any introduction, but there is this ghost character, Herobrine. Again, probably doesn't need any introduction, but I used to be so scared of Herobrine. I saw the infamous picture. I saw a video called Have You Seen the Herobrine? And it's this song. Now, honestly, now kind of goes hard. It terrified me as a kid, mainly not even because of the song. The song was a little creepy back then or whatever, but the picture that they had terrified me to no avail. I was watching it on, I think, my tablet, and I started watching it and I got scared and I shut it off and I tried to go to bed, but I couldn't. So I ended up getting up, waking up my parents and being like, guys, I'm scared of Herobrine. And I had to explain to them what it was, and they're like, dude, it's a game, go back to bed. This next one, I honestly have no explanation for. YouTube poops were really big back in the day, where essentially they got a clip from a show or a clip from a separate YouTube video and chopped it up to make it say funny things and those funny sound effects. And there was another one, again, SpongeBob. It was a YouTube poop of the episode where, if I believe, the Flying Dutchman shows up, drops an anchor in SpongeBob's house, and comedy ensues. At the beginning of this one, SpongeBob yawns and it's funny scream. He serves himself a bowl of cereal and a giant PNG of Luigi. This Luigi meme, I honestly still don't know what it is, but Luigi pops in instead of the anchor.
Squidward! The sky had a Pokemon from my cereal box! Squidward! Squidward! The sky had a Pokemon.
That's not a
Pokemon.
That's a gay Luigi. Now go away.
I honestly can't explain why it scared me, because some of the other ones, it's like, okay, scary face, loud noise. I can explain, okay, yeah, this is why these scared me. I have no explanation for this one, but for some reason, it terrified me to the point where, I still remember it to this day, and I'll still go back and I'll watch the video. I don't know why it scared me, but for some reason, I was terrified of it. Okay, now into the honorable mentions. Now, these ones, it's not content on the internet. It's not like shows. It's just things that I remember being terrified of as a kid. First of all, my biggest fear, and it still kind of affects me to this day, is empty black screens. If I walk into a room or I go to turn on a TV and it's just black, it'll get me into defense mode where I'll start to look away from the screen and I'll be prepared for something to jump out, even though nothing's gonna jump out of the screen. And this fear actually roots all the way back to my infanthood. Like, I was a baby. I didn't remember this, but my grandmother told me this story. I used to use my grandfather's laptop all the time, and they had gotten an email, and it was like, oh, watch this video. You just want to keep an eye out, just so you know. And little me clicked on the video, and it was the K-Fee ghost car commercial. I don't need to say anything. I can give you this still image, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so my grandmother, picks me up, and she watches this video with me. It's the car driving down the road. Boom, right in front of my face is that little stupid zombie. And that was my first experience with a screamer. I was like maybe 2-3 years old, if I'm not mistaken. I was a baby, and I was terrified. Now this last one, I guess this could have gone on internet, but I didn't really want to put it in internet. I used to be a huge fan of Fine Bros, and I used to watch their teens react and their kids react or whatever. I remember they had reacted to Attack on Titan. I love Attack on Titan, but back then I saw that still image of the colossal Titan, with its creepy face, and then I saw some of the regular ones with their gross, distorted faces, and it just terrified me. I just remember turning off the phone and putting it down and just like sitting there until I think I heard a noise from the kitchen, and it scared me, but it was just like my grandmother making dinner. And I don't know why it stuck with me for so long, to the point where I still remember it to this day. That's pretty much it. I wanted to do a video like this just because I like watching these videos, and I want to widen my content a little bit. Also, it gave me an excuse to record outside. It's fresh, it's not hot. I can wear my hoodie and just kind of talk with you guys. I feel like I should do that more often, do more videos like this. But if you liked this video, and you have any other suggestions for videos like this you want me to do, I want to definitely make more movie reviews and a lot more sit down conversation videos rather than my usual gaming. If you guys like this video, please like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.